a broad level, just having DJ and now having had a chance to work with him for 3 months or so, what does he do to help you as both a play designer and a play caller?
I think I think the biggest thing with DJ, one, there's a comfort level with him and the quarterback. So when you have that, that gives you a little bit more freedom to the creativity slash comfort plays that you can lean on whenever you need to. And then the biggest thing for them, I think it just gives confidence to the group as when they're in the huddle or when they're in that receiver room. I think he's helped boost that room as an entire group.
You were obviously part of the decision-making process to bring Jordan Love in. What did you like about him and watching his college tape? For a Bears fan base that doesn't know anything about him, what would you tell people when trying to describe him as a person?
No, Jordan's a great guy. His college film, you showed his athleticism, you showed natural passing ability, and then he came in and was a very humble kid. I mean, grew up in a great home and great family. He's a great dude, a great teammate. I thought he handled that situation really well. Came in raw first year, kind of an inexperienced type of system that he ran at Utah State, and then each year he just got better and better, more comfortable with what was going on up there.
For someone to wait as long as he's waited for a chance to play, that really doesn't happen much in the NFL. What does it say about him that he kind of got to this point?
I mean, he handled the situation really well. I think that's when you have a player the caliber that they had ahead of him, and he did a great job of taking notes and studying and watching the best do his job. And so I think that's all part of that process, and he handled it really well.
Luke, how is Chase integrated back into practice?
What do you mean?
Being injured and now practicing.
Yeah, he's back in. He was full go. He's been great. The last 2 weeks there hasn't been any limitations or anything like that. He's been fine. We've threw him kind of right back into the role that you guys saw most of the training camp.
Is there a kind of like a ramp up process for him and Justin getting back on the same page of kind of like where they left off in early August?
I don't think so. I think that I thought Chase had a really good camp up until the injury, so I think they had a ton of work together. I don't remember how long he was out, 2 weeks or whatever it was, but I don't think so. I think probably more for Chase just getting his wind back and getting his feet back underneath him, which he did a week ago, and then yesterday he was back full speed.
Lucas obviously last year dealt with the injuries, and when he was out there on the field was still limited by the injuries. What do you expect of him now that he's full go and able to get back out there?
You said Lucas? Yeah. No, we're excited to have him back. Right? He's participated way more this camp than he did last year, so all that is good. He has the most experience of anybody up there and doing what we're doing on offense, and so it's good to have him back in that leadership role and kind of taking control of the guys. And we're excited to see him get to go at it again.
You talked about the duties and responsibilities of the guards specifically in your offense. Is that why you guys kind of thought it better to replace the center as opposed to bringing the backup guard? If you got the combination of five, and you move those guys around because of injury, and you decide to keep Cody in and replace the center more so than.
No, I don't think that was necessarily. I mean, that's part of it, but I think it's always you're just trying to get who you believe are the best five and the best chemistry of the five together each time. Yes, that's a process. As you're thinking big picture, but when you go week to week in the league, you're just trying to figure out what's the best combination for that week or what's the best five to give us a chance to go win.
Luke, you mentioned DJ Moore. When you were asked about DJ Moore, you mentioned that his chemistry and compatibility with Fields. DJ Moore seems to have been able to do that with anybody. I mean, he had so many quarterbacks in Carolina and still produced. What makes a guy able to do that? Is it just the talent? Is it just that if you can get open and catch, you're going to have chemistry with people, or is there something more to it than that?
No, that's part of it. It's definitely not the entire thing, right? I think it's the time spent. I think it's the purpose. I think it's the mentality of the person off the field as much as it is on the field. The work ethic. He's been on the practice field every single day, so he's got a ton of reps with our unit. Right, he's been available to Justin as much as anybody has been, and so I think all that is, a good reflection of being able to create that.
If you had to specify one thing that you've learned about Justin during this preseason, what would it be?
One thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that you learned about Justin, or that became amplified about Justin this preseason.
No, I think I've said it in here before. Just the comfortability of what's going on around him now is way further along than it was. Knowing not only what his particular assignment is, but being able to direct traffic around him. All that makes everybody else's job a lot easier. So I think that's something that's definitely stood out.
Back to Jason's question about DJ, a lot of people have kind of described him as a quiet guy. What have you learned about what makes him tick, what drives him?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's when you're on the field and you see him go, I mean, there is you use the word dog in him. I mean, that guy's a competitive animal. I mean, he's quiet, but he plays his hard and he practices hard, and he's a great teammate. He holds himself accountable. When he makes a mistake, he's the first person to go into that huddle and say, "That's my bad. I was wrong." I think all that stuff, it just stands out for the kind of man that he is.
Luke, the first team offense scored twice quickly in the preseason, which I'm sure is the preferred method. But how much do you value with a formative offense, just snaps, consecutive snaps, 12, 15 play drives? How important is that to develop, chemistry, rhythm, the kind of things that you think a developing offense needs?
Yeah, no, if you're able to do that, that shows your execution level's pretty high. To be able to have a 12-plus play drive, your execution's got to be high, right? You're not committing penalties. You're overcoming maybe less advantageous situations, third and longs or whatever. And so that takes a lot of character from a unit. So if you're seeing that, I think that's a good tell of a team that's executing at a pretty high level.
How are you better equipped to kind of do that? I know more. I'm sure he plays a factor in converting third downs and short yardage things. How are you better equipped, in addition to him, to kind of keep drives going and have more longer drives? It didn't seem like you had as many last year as you probably needed,
Yeah, I don't know how many you need. That'd be something that I would have to take time to think about. Like you said, the most important thing is to score points. But I think, the more people you have around you that are executing at a high level, it takes 11. Let's not forget that. It's good to have one piece or another piece, but it takes all 11. That's what's great about what we do here. But whether it's run game, pass pro, or in the pass game, it takes all 11 to execute. So we can't have one guy not execute and just think that we can rely on somebody else. So we got to make sure that that we continue to get better. So I would say, do we want longer drives? Not necessarily, but we got to be able to execute in longer drives when those do show up, for
I
sure.
don't know how much time you've had, or if at all you've reflected on maybe what things were like going into week 1 last year, the amount of unknowns, first time call plays here with new players, mostly new players you hadn't been around. Just how much more comfortable do you feel this week going into this game compared to maybe last year when it was all new?
No, I wouldn't say there's more. There's comfort. The unknowns of game 1 are always going to be there for both teams, right? In all facets of the game. It's game 1. No one does anything in preseason that's going to unveil anything to you, and so you go into game 1 with trusting your training. That's truly what you have to do in this situation, right? Because they could do anything and they could change their style of play or whatever. New coaches come in, new players come in, and people change a little bit. And it may not be drastic, but there could be just subtle changes. And you want to make sure that you're prepared, and that's what you take training camp to do, right? You take training camp to get your fundamentals in the right place so that you can execute whenever that new thing happens and you guys can respond the right way. So there's definitely no comfort in that, but just excited, and I would say the relationships that we have with the players are much deeper, and those things we can lean on a little bit more.
What was your perception of the Bears-Packers rivalry when you were in Green Bay?
I mean, the same as it is now. It's awesome to be a part of. I mean, to have that many games played against your opponent is pretty incredible. I think the fan bases are both incredible. They're passionate about their teams, and it's so cool how close we are to one another. It's a rivalry that somebody who was since I was a little kid, has loved football and loved that part of it. It's really cool to be a part of it on both sides of it. To be honest with you.
This will be, go ahead, Gordon. Do you mind if I go quickly?
They're good. You can do those two. Go ahead. Good. You can both go. Here we go. Last two.
Has Justin Fields' ability to throw downfield improved, and if so, how specifically?
I don't know how specifically, but I think he's improved on every facet of throwing the football and to who he's throwing it to and feeling more comfortable in the way he's doing that. I think when you know where someone's going to be when they're supposed to be there. There's a lot of comfort in a quarterback that can just let it loose. And I think that being here year 2 in the system slash having a really good off season with these guys and a good training camp, I would have to agree with that.
This is the 5th time that Justin's faced the Packers. It's the same defensive coordinator every time. What's the value of having that Rolodex for him? And could that be a differentiating factor between this year and last year?
Yeah, I don't know if it's differentiating, but I think it's more about the fact that he's in year 3, playing in the league, being with his teammates, having gone through a lot of experiences. It obviously helps to know the opponent who's on the field, those players, their tendencies, what they're good at, what they're not good at, all that kind of stuff. That all helps as a player, so your instincts are a little bit sharper. But as far as the defensive coordinator part of it, I think, I don't know if that's going to differentiate. Like I said, every year's a little bit different. Players are a little bit different. But I think it's most important to lean on the experiences that he's had now that he's heading into the 3rd time doing this. Thanks, guys.
Go ahead and shoot.
Alan, the Packers ran the ball well against you last year both times, and it ended up being an issue throughout the season. How much better are you equipped to do things differently? What can you do differently this year that you were unable to do last year, without disparaging anyone too much?
Yeah, they're a good running team. I'm sure they'll be a good running team this year. Their running backs are dynamic. If you go a slash and a thunder or whatever you want to call that, you have a guy that can get on an edge. You have a guy that 33, he can get on an edge, he can get outside on you. He runs well between the tackles. And then they have a big back that's good at downhill and pounding between the tackles. We just have to do what we do a little bit better, set edges better. We're a little bit bigger, stronger, faster up front and in the middle. We have more experience and guys that have 1 year under their belt, so they're setting edges better. They're getting off the ball better. We need to control the line of scrimmage better. We need to play on their side of the line of scrimmage, and it's not just our front 4 backers. We need to play a little bit more downhill, read our keys, and if you add all those things up to, I think that means stopping the run better. If you remember, I think the first ball game we may not have tackled very well, so we have to tackle, we have to wrap up, take one more step. So that's and then we have to set cups better. That means that we have to keep our leverage. We got to run downhill, and all those things combined says to me that playing the run better.
When you're facing a quarterback that you don't have a ton of NFL tape on, and there's this kind of mystery to him, which parts of his game, what tangibles do you key in on when watching that tape and getting ready to play defense against him? What are you looking for specifically?
Yeah. Well, what we're trying not to do is hunt up too many ghosts and say we think he's going to do this, we think this is going to happen, we think these things. What we have to focus on is what Green Bay has done up until this point, and then see what their tendencies are, see what they've done, and then just look at Love in the preseason and see what he does well. And the things that he does well, he gets the ball out of his hands. He throws a phenomenal deep ball. Outside, he has great touch. Seems like he makes good decisions, fast processor. And so we're just trying to look at what they've done in the past, what they've done in the preseason, and then just go from there. And at the end of the day, it's still more about us than it is about who they have at receiver, who they have at running back, who's playing on the D-line. It's still about the Chicago Bears.
A good defense seemed to be developing some chemistry early on in camp, but then at the 2nd and 3rd levels, you guys missed some significant time due to injuries. Any concern about trying to get back on the same page when you talk about Tremaine, Bojack, and Jaquan?
Yeah, none. And here's the reason why. The reason why is that they've been developing, they've been forming, they've been intentional about their chemistry all the way through. So even though those guys have not been up and they've not been on the field together, in the classroom, through walkthroughs, off the field, in the weight room, in the locker room, they're intentional about forming those bonds, about how they talk, how they see things. So even though it hadn't happened on the football field just yet in practice, they've been intentional all since they've gotten here about forming those bonds, about developing the defense.
You were talking about what Green Bay's done in the past. How much do you lean on Coach Getsy at all this week, just with his experience there?
I'm not sure we lean on him a whole bunch. We're not dum-dums. We'll ask him what his thoughts are about that, but it's still a little bit different team without the old quarterback. I know that they'll want to form their own identity over there, just like we are here. You know what, I ask him his opinion, but at the end of the day, it's still an opinion. We just got to make sure that we take care of ourselves, and when we do that, we'll be just fine.
Alan, do you expect Tyreek Stevenson to be tested a lot in this game just because he is a rookie corner? Is there any truth to that, because he's a rookie, that he's going to get tested a lot?
I'm not sure about that. I think they're going to test our whole defense. I think when at the end of the day that they're going to do what they do, and they'll test the left side, test the right side. They'll test him. They're going to test the whole defense. So I don't give a whole bunch of credence into, hey, it's a rookie. If you play well, they stay away from it. If you don't, they don't. And Tyreek's been playing. I think you'll like what you see when the lights come on.
You know, back to what you were saying about Jordan Love, and then ultimately it's more about you guys and what you do against him. But is it difficult though, because of all the advanced scouting that goes on, the trying to get an edge on a team, the secrecy that exists, to not have as much information on a quarterback?
Yeah. No. No. Sometimes we make this game a little bit more difficult than it should be. It's still about winning your one-on-one matchups. It's still about they have one football, they don't have three, so we have to find the football. We know where it is. It's still about tackling, lining up, reading your keys, getting to the ball, and all the other things. Those are distractions. That's window dressing. All the other things that come into effect, and all the other things about, hey, the stats say this and the analytics say this and whatever. I've never heard of a game that was won through analytics. Now, with the technology and all the things that we have and all the information that we have, sometimes they make guys play slower, not faster. So we want to, again, I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but if we get lined up, see the formation, read our keys, play fast, run and tackle, we'll be fine.
What's required of you though and your staff, anybody who's on the headset, because whether it's the Packers and Jordan Love and the unknown, but like every week one is there's a lot of unscouted looks because teams are holding things close to the vest during the preseason. The ability to adjust and do you feel like, is that more for week one based on just like you haven't seen it and they haven't seen you guys too? That requires more adjusting on the fly for those unscouted looks?
Two things there. I think you always adjust. You always have to adjust throughout the ball game. What you see maybe first quarter or second quarter, you may see something different because they're always adjusting. But it's still about making sure your keys and your rules take you to where you need to be. We have rules on defense and we have keys. And your rules and keys should take you to the football. And they're always going to be things that you haven't seen. Offenses, they get creative. They try to put different dots, different guys in different positions to maybe win a matchup or whatever. But if you're a sound defense, you have rules, and your rules say, hey, look at this, get lined up here, and your rules take you to the ball. And teams that don't do that, they get themselves in trouble. We're going to do that.
When Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets in the offseason, how quickly do you start thinking, okay, how is this going to change what the Packers do? And how formal, I guess, are you in sitting down watching it, or is it just kind of a thought exercise for a while? Adjusting what you anticipate doing against the Packers.
No, good question. Right away. As soon as he goes, we smile and we say, hey. good luck in New York. Hope you enjoy Broadway, enjoy all the stuff that they have out there, and then we go, hey, let's move on. New chapter, move on, and then you start looking, you start planning. Hey, again, what could they do? But sometimes what they could do takes you down a rabbit hole that you can't get out of, and so and then you refocus, you resettle, you reset, and then you go. One more time, it's still about us. It's still about all those fundamentals. We're going to be a fundamentally sound team that's going to run and hit, play smart football, take the ball away. And when we do that, you'll see when we do those things, the results are good. When we do something else, the results are something else.
You mentioned buzz receivers. What do you remember about the challenges that Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs? You guys kind of contained them last year for the most part. What do you remember about Dobbs?
They're going to be fast. They're going to stretch the field. They're going to be good after the catch. They're going to try to get the ball in their hands and let them run. They're going to do things to help the quarterback out, which is get them the ball in space. They're going to try to, have good protection and get the ball deep down the field. And then they'll try to throw some screens again to get the ball in the hands so that they can be athletes. So and we got to tackle, we got to cover, we got to hit.
What you talked about setting better edges or needing to is one of the reasons you kind of struggled against the run at times last year. You also didn't get after the passer as much as you would have liked. You talked about picking the roster as you guys chose to. What obviously you want your first two guys to be able to do both. But when you get to those second and third guys, was setting an edge in the run game more of an emphasis than getting after the passer?
No, they need to do both. They still have to do both because here's what happens. If you don't set the edges in the run game, you'll never see a pass. And so if you don't stop the run, it'll be first down, second down, first down, second down. You'll never get to third down. You'll never get to a pass. You'll never get to a screen. You'll never get to play action going down the field. You have to stop the run game in the NFL. I know people say, hey, this is a passing league and you got to have this, and this, X, Y, and Z. But if you don't stop the run, we'll never get a pass. So we have to earn the right to rush the passer, and we better stop the run. And and I think that's with everyone. So especially early, when you have early in the season, most teams are going to want to establish the run and then throw the football. And so I think with our guys, you have to be able to do both and do both effectively to win football games. Guys.
All right, good morning. How you all doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing great, thank you. Excited to get going, obviously. Game week, excited to get going. Feels like it's taking forever, but just excited to get going with this group of guys. Obviously, we had guys here before as well, so I want to acknowledge the guys for all their hard work, the guys that are here that we have, and then also the guys that are no longer with us, doing a really good job of just trying to put their best foot forward, because our job, especially in coaches, is to develop guys and help them. And some of our guys have got picking up or have got claimed other places or are on other teams now, so that's always good to see that happen. Also, I know she's going to get upset with me, but I got to let you guys know that Allie here, Sayers, she won the Most Valuable Teammate Award, all right? That's given out quarterly, all right? So it's given out quarterly, exemplifies a great teammate, people that put in extra hours, people that work hard, people that we're looking for as coaches, as players. So, and she does a lot with you guys and also does a lot to help me get ready. So I think it's always good to give unsung heroes the acknowledgement when it's well-deserved. So congratulations. Yeah, she is the best. You're right. Go ahead, guys. We open up the questions.
Exclusive story.
Coach, I know you have a history with Trent.
Chris, I've never won an award.
What are his strengths that made when he became available that you want to make sure you guys added him? Because obviously you had a need there too.
Yeah, I think when you talk about Trent, when you talk about the person and the player and my history with the guy, Obviously, he's an awesome teammate. He's always beloved by his team. Awesome teammate, great study habits, great work ethic on the field, relentless mind, and a relentless pursuit to his goals. So those are things that we really like about him, and happy to have him with us. So.
Ryan Poles said something to the effect of, when you guys brought him in, like, now when there's a punt, you can go get a snack and not worry about anything and come back and everything will be fine with Trent back there. How much does his reliability factor into this?
I think when you talk about punt returners in general, not just Trent, I mean, he's obviously good in that area. That's duly noted. Like, he was that way for us in San Fran. He's outstanding in that way. So that's duly noted with that guy, Trent. But just punt returners in general, I think you could take that generally speaking for all punt returners. You want to have a guy that that ball security is the number one thing. We know that. So we want to make sure we have a guy that has great ball security. Punt returners, when you're talking about really good ones, they're fearless. They got a great ability to track the ball and hold on to the ball. And then the other thing about it is they can read, coverage or the gunners coming down and make good decisions. They do a great job of studying opponents, studying the punter's tendencies, knowing differences in how a punter punts and his alignments, and it's all kind of little tendencies and intricacies that you can go into detail about. Some of them I won't go into a ton about, but obviously that's just one of the assets that makes a good punt returner in general.
Sorry, what's the prep for him for fielding punts here? Because it'll be a little different in Soldier Field with the wind and everything like that, and he doesn't have experience in that particular venue, so you just kind of rely on pregame warm-ups, or is there anything else you can do to prepare him for that?
Yeah, Trent's played here before, so I mean he's caught in Soldier and he's caught in wind before, and he's played in the snow in Cincinnati, and he's played in big games and played in Super Bowls and played in all kind of games, and he played with games with us. We won a lot of games together. I mean, I don't think we've played in windy games, we played in all different type of games, so just excited for him and his opportunity to showcase what he can do.
We were just talking about some of the, the intricacies of like how a punter even lines up and, picking up on all those things. What's the challenge this week though, when you got a young punter, young kicker on the other side that I'm sure you guys have some tape on them, but they've never played before at this level. So does that add a little extra wrinkle this week for you guys trying to figure out, how those guys are going to kick essentially?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's with I think that's a good question. I think you could take it to all players as well. But specifically for the players you asked about, it's just like any other rookie. So like you go and you look at tape that you have on them, you go back and you study college tape on them, and then you get ready to play ball. The good thing about that is they don't have any idea. Or rookies in general, even our rookies, don't have much of an idea of who they're going to go against, because that's how it is, and going from preseason to week one. So I think it's both teams have to deal with it. So I think both teams are probably excited about it. I know we are. So
Nixon's obviously proven how dangerous he can be. When you've watched him and seen kind of his skill set, what are the things that you tell your guys that they need to be aware of on Sunday?
Yeah, the good thing is they're already kind of aware of him, because Nixon is a really good player. You guys know. I think it goes without saying, he was a first-team All-Pro last year as a returner. They've done an excellent job with him, and he's done a good job. So the thing we have to do is we have to make sure that, one, we have a ball that is good enough for us to cover, all right? Because this guy, he brings all the balls out. Like, he ball one out 8-9 deep against us, so he's going to bring the ball out. We know that. So we just got to make sure we're down there and we're using the help of our teammates and playing with good leverage, and it's going to be an extremely good challenge for us to go against. I mean, he's a good player, and we're excited about covering against him. So
Flus said the other day that while the punt returner job is Trent's, that Bayless would still be in the mix, but he said he's still in the development phase. What's the next step for him to get out of the development phase?
You talk about Bayless particularly? Yeah, well, I'll take that to Bayless and Tyler, because they're both young players, so they're both developing. And they just got to keep developing. The thing that's great about those two kids is since Trent has gotten here, their attitude hasn't changed. They haven't wavered. They're in the meeting room the same, they're studying the same, they're preparing hard, they're catching, they're trying to get better at their craft. So the development for them is just to continue to keep doing what they're doing and get better at it. So, and that's goes for all players. So they're all developing in every area. Any guy that's here, we expect them to get better every day. So
In watching preseason film, not just of you guys, but of other people, do you have a better sense of how teams are gonna try and employ this new touchback rule than you did before the preseason?
well, not really, because in the preseason it really didn't come into play much. So studying all the preseason tape, we didn't see it come into play much. So I think it's still pretty much a wait and see kind of deal and see how people play it throughout the year. But that's a great question.
Imagine that when weather changes, maybe the strategies will change with it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think generally speaking, like when weather comes into play, which is even more so reason in this division and like the AFC North and some of those different divisions where, AFC East where ball is going to be in play. Like you got to have guys that can cover and you got to have a return man because it's going to happen. It's just you can't continue to kick the ball out. Like we don't play in a dome all the time and we play in windy situations, so we got to be ready for that.
Who do you expect to return kicks for you on Sunday?
Say that again?
Who do you expect to return kicks for you on Sunday kickoffs?
Who do I expect? That's a great try. for me to divulge who's gonna return kicks, can't do it.
I mean, it's still up in the air. I mean, Bayless is listed as your number one, but we don't know if he's gonna have a game day.
Yeah. So to tell you, okay, on that, we're still very much going through the 46. We got our 53. All right. And it's our job and I was kidding with you, but it's our job as special teams coaches to develop everyone. So it doesn't matter who returns kicks for us. It doesn't matter who returns anything for us, covers for us, anything. Our job as special team coaches is to develop everyone. So I'm getting everybody ready. So when we decide on who's a 46, whoever it is, then we'll be ready. We'll be ready to go. But everybody's back there working. But for me to say, this guy's number one, this guy's number two, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that because that's what Green Bay's waiting on. So I'm not gonna say that, guys. But it's a good try, but we good.
I mean, we know who your number one punt returner is, so it's not like Green Bay's been waiting on that too.
Sure. Anything else?
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.